Hi everyone and welcome to another video. This is going to be my favourite books of 2015. Obviously I read loads and loads of really good books last year, but I have picked 10 of them to show you today. I didn't like any of these books any more than the others. I gave them all 5 out of 5 stars. So without further ado, I'm just going to show you what I've got. The first book I am going to show you is A Game of Thrones by George R.R. Martin. This is of course the first book in the A Song of Ice and Fire series. I told you in my last video that I'm about 3/4 of the way through the third book in this series. This is obviously the first one. This is basically the first season of the TV show. Having said that, I was not bored at all. I got a lot from it, and I can only assume that's down to George R.R. Martin's talent as a writer. One character who really came through for me in this is Sansa, because I am not the biggest fan of her in the TV show. I think she comes across as quite passive and weak, and that's just something I really don't like in female characters, whereas in this I saw that she is actually very open, she's very honest, she's very strong. So that may be the case for you. If you're thinking of reading the books, you may find that some characters you hate in the show you will really enjoy in this, so maybe that's incentive for you to pick it up. They are big books and I was daunted by them. This is not the biggest and it's still well over 800 pages, but they're not particularly slow reads because they are so exciting and action-packed and there's so much in them, so yeah. The next one I have to show you, by complete contrast, is Anna and the French Kiss by Stephanie Perkins. This is the first book in a really popular YA contemporary companion series. The other books are Lola and the Boy Next Door and Isla and the Happily Ever After. I read all 3 of them in 2015, but this is definitely my favourite one. This is the only one I gave 5 stars to. I gave 4 stars to both the others, so I do like them, but this is definitely the best one. Not least of all because of the male lead, Etienne Sinclair, in this. I'm not kidding when I tell you that I fell in love with him within the first 20-30 pages of this. Luckily Anna didn't. This is not an insta-love book, thank God. I hate when they have insta-love in YA contemporary. It's just so unrealistic and boring and cliche, but Anna and the French Kiss doesn't have that, so that's good. If you don't know what it's about Anna, who is sent from her home in Atlanta, Georgia, I think, to an American school in Paris, and it's just about her time there, her friendships, her budding love with Etienne, and it's really cute and fluffy and definitely worthwhile reading. The next one I have to show you is Pneumonia by Noelle Stevenson. I mentioned this in my last video because I showed you Lumberjanes, also by Noelle Stevenson. This is Pneumonia here. She is a shapeshifter and the sidekick to Lord Blackheart, who is a villain, and in this they are on a quest to prove to the world that Lord Goldenloin is not the angelic hero that everyone believes him to be. I'll show you some of the artwork in this because it's Noelle Stevenson and I love her, as you probably know by now. It's really simplistic but unique, I think. I mean, it couldn't really be anybody else in my opinion. It's really funny, it's really action-packed. At times you will be very worried, and as I read this in one sitting I went on a real roller coaster with this, so definitely 5 stars. The next one I have to show you is The Assassin's Blade by Sarah J. Maas. These are the prequel novellas to the Throne of Glass series, which I have here next to Sam. There are 5 of them in here, I think, and it's about Selena's past and her first love, Sam, and it's one of the most heartbreaking, beautiful stories I have ever read in YA fantasy. If you like the Throne of Glass books, definitely pick this up if you haven't, because it gives you so much more depth to Selena, even more than the books do. And it explains the whole thing with Sam, which will tear you apart, I promise you. It will leave you in tears and ruin on the floor, basically. The next book I have to show you is a little bit different to the other books in this video. It is The Miniaturist by Jessie Burton. This is really big in the UK. Well, it was at the beginning of 2015. I don't think I've seen that many American booktubers, Australian booktubers haul it that much, but it's historical fiction. It's set in 17th century Amsterdam, and it's about a young girl who goes to marry a wealthy man, and as a wedding present he gives her a replica of the house that they live in. Weird things start happening. The replica starts mirroring events that happen in the real house, but there's a lot more to it than that. There's a lot of complex social issues explored. The reason it's in this video is because when I finished it, I just sort of stared at it a little bit and just thought, oh my god, what just happened? I didn't see the ending coming at all. If it's your sort of thing, definitely give this a go. The next one I have to show you is Salt and Stone by Victoria Scott. This is the second book in the Fire and Flood duology. Fire and Flood, which is here on the back, came out in 2014. It was marketed as a mix between the Hunger Games and Pokemon. When I heard that, I was just like, I need to check this out. That sounds amazing. What is this? And I read it and I gave it 5 stars. I loved it. If you don't know what it's about these kids. They each have a relative or a friend or someone close to them who has a terminal illness, and they go into these Hunger Games type events called the Brimstone Bleed, and the winner wins a cure for their loved one's illness. And to help them through it, they each get an animal companion with special abilities, therefore Pokemon comparison. Don't go into it thinking it's going to be a crossover though, because it's not. It's still very unique, and you get an experience that you wouldn't have got from either of those things before. So definitely recommend it if that sounds like your sort of thing. This is the second one. The reason this is in here is because I was, like Assassin's Blade, I was in floods of tears over this. It's heartbreaking, it's shocking, it's stayed with me a long time after I finished it. Definitely. I was still thinking about this at least a week after. So I couldn't have asked for anything more from it either. It's the perfect conclusion. It was just lovely. If that sounds like your sort of thing, definitely give it a go. I mean, I don't know who's not into Hunger Games or Pokemon. I mean, everyone is, right? So definitely give that a go. The next one I'm going to show you is Only Ever Yours by Louise O'Neill. This won the YA Book Prize last year in the UK. It's a YA dystopian. It's described as a mix between Mean Girls and The Handmaid's Tale. I wasn't the biggest fan of The Handmaid's Tale when I read it. I know a lot of people love it, so I'm sure it's brilliant to some people, but it just wasn't for me. Mean Girls is one of my favourite films though, which is why I picked this up. It's about a world where girls are not born, they are made in things they call schools, and they are trained to become what they call companions, which is basically wives to wealthy men. But of course not everyone can become a companion. Some of them become concubines, which are basically prostitutes. Some of them become chastities, which are basically nuns or teachers at the school. This deals with a lot of very real, very dark social issues. It's got eating disorders, self-loathing, peer pressure, the need for girls to be perfect all of the time. I related to this so much, and I think every female and probably some men will as well. It's so real, and as a result it's quite a scary read, but at the same time I think it's quite an important read. Very gets you right there, I would say, and you will see yourself in these girls, definitely. The next book I have to show you is another Sarah J Maas book, and that is A Court of Thorns and Roses. This is a retelling of Beauty and the Beast with fae elements. Now, Beauty and the Beast is probably my favourite fairy tale. I know this got a lot of mixed reviews when it came out, but I'm definitely of the school of thought that it was awesome. If you don't know what it's about a girl called Feyre, and she is a huntress, and she accidentally kills what she thinks is a wolf one day. It turns out to be a fairy. As punishment for this, she is taken away from her family and sent to live in the fairy prince's castle as his captive, like Belle from Beauty and the Beast. And it's about a story of her falling in love with him. She knows she shouldn't, because she's been brought up to believe that fairies are these dark, dangerous creatures. And there's some really good complex characters in this, which I absolutely loved. So yeah, that's A Court of Thorns and Roses. The next one I have to show you is another graphic novel. It is Rat Queens Volume 1, Sass and Sorcery. Again, I loved this because of the characters. These are the Rat Queens. They are a band of women who are monster killers. They are hired by people to kill monsters. The reason I like this is because they are not sort of stereotypical comic book heroines. They're not particularly attractive. So this is Betty. She's a little thief girl. She's got little pointy ears. She's really cute. She's a lesbian too, which I haven't seen that much of in graphic novels or comic books. And this is my favourite. This is Violet. She's a little curvy dwarf girl. and it's just about realistic women kicking some ass. And how does that not get 5 out of 5 stars? I don't know. So that's that. The second one's out now as well, but I haven't read that yet, so I'll let you know when I do. And the last book I have to show you in this video is, when I was thinking of books to put in this video, this is the first one that came to mind. So I guess you probably could say it was my favourite book of 2015, and that is The Invasion of the Tearling by Erica Johansson. Now, I read the first book in this, The Queen of the Tearling, in 2014 when it came out, and absolutely adored it. It was one of my favourite books ever because of Kelsey, the main character in this. She is one of the most amazing, funniest, realist female characters I've ever come across, and that is saying, she's up there with Hermione for me. She really is. I know that's a huge thing to say, which is weird because when Emma Watson read The Queen of the Tearling, and she also couldn't put it down, and she has actually been optioned to play Kelsey in the film version, and I cannot wait for that to be a thing. I'm so excited, honestly. Queen of the Tearling follows Kelsey. When she is 19, some men on horses arrive at her door and immediately tell her she has to come away and be queen of this kingdom, the Tearling, which she previously had no knowledge of. And obviously she's completely unprepared for this, and crazy things happen. This is the second one, and although I loved the first one so much, this one definitely did not have second book syndrome. You know, I know that's the thing, you know, second books are normally considered letdowns sometimes in series, but this definitely did not have that. Erica Johansson, she put in a whole unexpected dimension to this that I don't think anyone that had read the first one was expecting. I can't say too much without spoiling it, I don't think, but just read this book, read The Queen of the Tearling, and you will be surprised by this. You really will. There's something that no one was expecting, and definitely read the Tearling books. I love them so much. So that is the end of this video. I hope you enjoyed it. I will leave all of my social media down below. Like, comment, subscribe, everything else. I'll see you very soon for another video. Bye bye.